What's up, good people? I am James Barjuda, and this is Shed Some Light. Today, we're going to be giving the second part to the commentary that I gave on Monday. I believe I'm going to be airing that video on Monday. If I aired that video on Monday, that means this video is going to be on Tuesday. So Thursday. So happy Thursday to you guys. The video was on a gentleman by the name of John L. Cooper. Check him out on his Facebook. His video is called Right is Wrong and Wrong is Woke. Let's get right into it. Give me a few seconds. I will switch the screen over so that you guys can watch the video with me.
Co-opted into this. Christians naively think that the religion of wokeness that doesn't believe in truth, that wants to reach a perceived reality of utopia, it is a perceived utopia. It's not real. But that Christians go, well, utopia, that kind of sounds like the kingdom of.
Let me give a brief recap. So on the previous video, we were talking about how if you don't conform to the ideology of what wokeness means, then you are not woke. So if you go into the woke, as he's calling it, religion, and then subsequently you have questions, then you automatically forfeit your woke card. You're not allowed to ask questions against the woke philosophy, only against what the woke people are philosophizing on against too. So let's say you can speak out on the KKK and all their wrongs and all of the things that they do, but if you speak out on the BLM or the extremists in the BLM who are committing violent acts on properties that are not their own, then you are not woke. You are not about that. You are not in that culture. You've been blacksided by your own people. So that was he was not necessarily bringing that up, but I am bringing that up. It's just you can't have your. It's jumping from being in one group of chains to another group of chains. As he goes on in here, he says the Ultron philosophy. And if you're a Avengers fan or you like Marvel Comics, and you know what that's talking about. So yeah, that's just a quick overview of what we talked about last week. Let's get into what we're going to be talking about this week. This video again is called Right is Wrong and Wrong is Woke by John L. Cooper.
God, isn't I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it's just funny to say. All right, because the kingdom of God is what? Righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit. The kingdom of God, we will have no war. We will have no poverty. When Jesus comes again and we create New Jerusalem, nobody will be sad again. There will be no racism. There will be no violence. That kind of sounds like utopia. So if Christians just join up with the religion of wokeness, of a goal of humanistic utopia, it's kind of the same thing, guys. It's not the same thing. I don't know why Christian pastors think it's the same thing. I'm not going to get into this right now because I'm talking about definitions of words, but it has to be based on the fact of this, that if you don't believe in truth, you can never reach utopia. Why? Because there's no absolute wrong and right. How are you going to get to utopia? By changing words? By changing what things mean? Maybe.
All right. So if there is no moral standard, if nobody has a pinpoint that can say, well, this is right and this is wrong, then how can anything be right and wrong? And if there is no way to judge that, then what is then the utopian state foundation? Like, is utopian state art anarchy, where people can purge every day, where stealing is okay, where rape is okay, where murder is okay, abortion is okay, things of that nature? Or is it where peace, where it's the lion will lay with the lamb, and the children will be able to play with the wild beasts. What is utopia? What is, if it's the latter, where everything is a literal utopia? There is peace, there is understanding, there is no more sickness, there is no more hate. There is just serene, divine calmness throughout all, due to the point of all believing the same way in a set guidelines of morals and standards. I think that to be utopia. Utopia to me is not saying, oh well, you tell me that this is a blue cup, but the next person next to you says that it's green, and you both are right. That's chaos to me. That's the opposite of utopia. So let's get back into the video.
You do something really bad in order to get somewhere good, which is one of the things we see. So what they do, they begin to change. Let me just say this one thing. Here's the reason that humanism won't work. Humanism is built on the idea that humans are good and that we are all that we need. We are at the center of this, and if we try hard enough, we can reach a place of utopia. Christianity teaches the opposite of that. So being a Christian humanist, it just makes no sense. You can't reach utopia based on the goodness of man. You will reach hell on earth. That's what you reach. Okay, you reach you reach Armageddon. You reach blowing people up. You reach dictators enslaving other people and killing like 20 million people. You reach Stalin. You reach Lenin. All right, you don't reach.
So if we do an introspective analysis on our lives, or on the human life, because there was also mentioned in here that one life, one person of any entity, whether they be black, white, Mexican, gay, straight, whatever, if you subscribe to that, then you are the spokesperson for whatever that is. So if I'm black, well, I am black. You guys' philosophy is that I am the spokesman for all black people, and that is not the truth. Just because I'm black doesn't mean that I speak for all black people or all black men. No, I speak for myself. But here we are. Let me get back on track here. Let me read. Well, let's get back to the video. See if my thought comes back.
Yeah, Jesus coming back, riding on the clouds. I don't know why Christians are getting co-opted in this, but wokeness, the religion of wokeness, is a humanistic endeavor. It is not a Christian endeavor. I understand why we're getting mixed up. So here's the agenda. You begin to chop up words. And I know some of you guys are like, oh gosh, I don't care about the word. Just listen to it. You're going to see where it goes. Violence is a word that we can chop up pretty easily, right?
Okay, I remember what I was going to say now. So, innately, we are all evil. If we do not understand that, let's take a look back on society. Let's look back at humanity as a group in itself. And all through life, and our human life, have there ever been any times of peace? Have there never been any wars? Have there never been any crusades? Has there never been any jealousy? Have there never been any animosity? Have there ever been any anger? Does that not exist throughout the whole existence of our existence? Have we not felt those emotions? If the answer to that is yes, we have, then you can understand that we within ourselves, left to ourselves, would blow ourselves up. We would never be able to reach a utopian state. If you watch any sci-fi videos like Star Trek or anything like that, you can't The prime directive is you can't interfere with a civilization that has less knowledge than what you have. What am I saying in that? We can never reach a utopian state because we are greedy, we always want more, and war is the vehicle in which we use to get there. So that's why that would never happen that way. The whole in that universe of Star Trek, war has been abolished for the most part because technology and science has dominated life, and that's what people in today are trying to get to, but it's not going to happen because even in that, there is still greed, which doesn't even make no sense to me. Like, if you have a cure for something, here in America, we don't cure things. We treat. Even though there are cures out there, our American philosophy is money. More. So even if that means a person has to have cancer, or that person needs to get a soft cast versus wearing a hard cast because they have a fracture, but their insurance only can cover the soft ace bandage cast. You think I'm making these things up, but I am not. But let's get back to the video.
Violence used to mean what we thought it meant. Violence meant hurting someone. Remember?
Forgive me for that tangent.
When you were in kindergarten and they said, keep hands, feet, and objects to yourself, right? You're not supposed to hurt someone else. You're not supposed to take something from someone else, or whatever, or kick them or punch them or whatever it may be. So now what we have done is the woke social justice warriors, they went in and they began to chop up the word violence. And now what they say is, well, what violence actually is, you see, is any sort of distress that you may cause to someone else. So it's not just that you hit them or punch them or stab them or shoot them. If you cause any distress to their brain, or any, like you hurt their feelings or what have you, you say something that is...
Yes, you heard him right. If you hurt somebody's feelings now, that is considered an act of violence. I remember growing up where people could make fun of you. People could, even to a certain amount of extent, bully you. They would consider bullying back in the day. You were getting toughened up. Today, to the extent of what bullying goes through today, where people are telling people to kill themselves, that is not okay. But small schoolhouse stuff where kids are getting taunted, that is teaching them that, life, there's a certain pecking order in life, and that is okay. There's it's tough, and it can do one or two things. It can weaken you or it can strengthen you. If it strengthens you, it makes you a better, well-rounded person in life. You would be able to go into the workplace knowing that you are going to have to compete for that raise. You're going to have to compete for that promotion. You are not always going to get that by being passive and being afraid of being rejected, or being afraid of pushback or anything of that. If you haven't learned that while you are young, it's going to be hard for you to learn that when you get older. So to a certain extent, and I'm not using the word bully to say, hey, it's okay to go bully. So like I said, verbally telling somebody, oh, well, abusing them so much and that they feel like they need to end their life is not okay. I am saying that is not okay. Taunting somebody to the point, or physically taunting somebody to the point where they feel like they need to take their life, that is not okay. But little schoolhouse stuff, it just hardens us, and that's kind of hard to define. It is down to the individual. Don't at me, or you can at me if you want to. But yeah, let's get back to the video.
Is offensive to them, something that makes them feel marginalized, you're actually causing violence to those people. So now violence has changed its meaning, all right? And on the opposite side, they also say, well, because words are violence, then silence is violence. So it's not necessarily about, hurting people or not hurting people. It's really about the way you make them feel. And so if something happens.
So in essence, what he's saying is that we're building a society of sensitive people. And being sensitive, again, is not necessarily a bad thing, but you can't be on the extreme. There always has to be balance. Empathy is an excellent quality for people to have. But then again, there has to be balance.
Happens in the world that is evil, and you don't come out and say something about it, then you actually are causing violence to someone else. So you chop up the word violence to mean.
So what he's saying there is, like, if there is an evil in the world, and you don't speak up for it, and this is today's economy and the world's economy, if you don't speak up out against that evil, then you are committing violence towards the person committing the evil. Did you hear that right? If you speak up against evil, you are committing an act of violence against that person who's committing an evil, because you might hurt their feelings. What if they just had a bad day? What if they are emotionally disturbed? What if...
all sorts of different things. Simultaneously, they can dumb down the word violence when it comes to rioting. And that's what we see right now. I've already played a million clips of this, so I won't play a clip of it, but that is the reason that if you are at a BLM protest and you want to burn someone's business down, that's not violence. That's just, guys, that's property. That doesn't count. Property doesn't count because in their mode of thinking, property is actually evil. Because property is, under socialistic and Marxist thought, communistic thought, if you will, people shouldn't own property, all right? And so that doesn't really count. So that's not violence, but words are violence.
Okay, so burning down a place of business is violence, okay? The reasoning... Now, again, there are extremists in this BLM movement, okay? There is the Antifa, some call them the Pantifa. This is off the Instagram page that I watch. I think it's called Homies for Trump. They call them Pantifa. Anyway, there are extremes on each side. The BLM, the Antifa, some factions of the BLM. So I'm not going to say that all of BLM is violence, but because even if there is one violent person in that movement, and if the movement does not speak out against the violence, then the movement is culpable for that violence. I'll just put it that way. So if the motivation, if we went back to the Tea Party, right? If we went back to the whites coming over here from Europe to America, they wanted their independence, and they did that by any means necessary. If you go look back into your history, they looted, they rioted, they committed murders, they did all kind of stuff. People want to paint the picture as America always being great, and it hasn't really been always great. It has done some great things. It compared to some other countries, it's more prosperous in that way. It's great in being prosperous, but then there are other countries that are more prosperous than us. But as far as its morality, there has always been spots and blemishes, and if you don't want to address those spots and blemishes, then that's on you. That's your willful ignorance. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here. Again, I appreciate you for taking the ride with me. We're here on Shed Some Light. I am James Barjuda. The video again that we're watching is from John L. Cooper's page. Check him out on Facebook. The video is called Right is Wrong and Wrong is Woke. Y'all be blessed.